9 Plus Us presents the Baseball Together podcast with your hosts, Blackjack Brad and Kansas City Little Big Briggy Blue Eyes. And now, Baseball Together.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Baseball Together podcast, Baseball Family. I am Brad, and this week, Brig is out, so I'm actually joined by Quinn again. Say hi, Quinn.
Hi.
So, I'll get into a little bit later why I decided to have Quinn on this week's episode. But before we get into that, let's talk about how you can get in touch with the show. First, you can join the VIP group. We have a Facebook group, 9 Plus Us VIPs. Send us requests, we will add you. Just search 9 Plus Us VIPs on Facebook. You can also submit to our mailbag. We have a link in the doobly-doo of every episode. That's not easy to say, doobly-doo of every episode for some reason. I don't know. Anyway. You can always click the link in the doobly-doo and submit to the mailbag. We like questions, comments, snide remarks, anything you want us to talk about, whatever. Send it our way. We will talk about it. We'll give you a shout-out on the show. You can follow us on Instagram at Baseball Together and also on Twitter at Baseball, the number 2, Together. Baseball Together. So that's how you get in touch with us. All right, Quinn.
What's up?
Ready to talk some current events?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. So let's start with Korea starting up with baseball. So I don't know if you saw this, Quinn. They actually tried this a couple weeks ago.
Wait, is
with
this
everybody wearing
North
masks.
or South Korea starting?
South Korea.
South
Korea.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how much baseball they play in North Korea. That's something to look into, I think.
that there's a lot of untapped talent up there. Send a scout.
There's probably a lot of untapped talent in general, not just baseball, but everything else in the world, possibly. Some of the smartest people in the world could be being suppressed in North Korea. But anyways, we won't get into politics. But did you see that, Quinn, how South Korea was trying to play baseball a couple weeks ago?
I didn't. No.
So everybody was wearing masks. Like, the first shot I saw, you had the batter up there. He was wearing his mask. Even the catcher, you could see his mask under his catcher's mask, which I can't imagine trying to breathe.
That's what I was going to say. It's good thing there's not a lot of running in baseball. Can you imagine football players or somebody like soccer players wearing masks?
Soccer players would probably die
if
they had to wear masks. It'd be insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was weird. It was a weird look, and I didn't think it would last long, and it didn't seem like it lasted long. So I'm pretty sure they stopped play. Like I said, I don't think it lasted very long, but they've come up with another plan of another way that they can get going again, because they have a 144 game season there, and they think they can get the full schedule in. And this is some of their stuff. These are some of their ideas. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Spitting is strictly prohibited, which is a strange thing to prohibit in baseball.
No more spitballs.
At least in American baseball. Yeah, no more spitballs. That's right. But I don't know how much spitting there is in South Korea or Japan or anything like that. But I feel like here it's just like it's such second nature for guys to just spit on the field.
Yeah, or on the dugout or anywhere.
I don't know what the penalty is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or how they're going to enforce that. They're all wearing masks.
Guys spit in their gloves.
Oh,
yeah, and guys spit in their gloves all the time.
Oh yeah, I used to do that, and
they're not
even a real
anymore,
baseball player.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, and you get that on the ball, it's going to spread whatever really easily. Right. I don't know. That's a strange one, but it makes sense why they would say that. It just seems like that's a hard thing to stop baseball players from doing it.
Right.
Also, barehanded handshakes and high fives are discouraged. So my thought is that they would go and do the college thing where they tap helmets. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So they could switch to that. Contact with outside visitors must be minimized. That makes sense. And depending on what they're doing for living situations, I feel like that could be managed, maybe.
I was thinking about when I read this thing about the high fives. I was thinking it could be like when the rookie hits their first home run and everyone just ignores them, and they could just play the whole game like that. It's like no cheering for each other, no high fives. Just do your job and sit down.
Yeah, exactly right. I think that's gonna would be the way that it'd have to be. Let's go through these last couple, and then you've got players must have temperature taken twice before games and fill out daily health questionnaires. Masks strongly recommended in clubhouses, stadium during games. Umpires prohibited from making physical contact with players, which I feel like is a given. And umps and team employees traveling with players required to wear masks and gloves. So Quinn, I think it's interesting.
Yes.
That obviously they want to get going again. Is there anything there that sticks out to you that's just like that's not going to work?
Well, so that mostly the last part, where it was like if somebody gets it, and then they're gonna have to like backtrack and say, okay, who did you touch? Who did you play against? Like, I don't know. I just feel like if that's what they're gonna do, then it's gonna get shut down really fast again. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, I totally agree that part's really hard. Is who all did they come in contact with? That I feel like with the NBA they kind of did that when Rudy Gobert tested positive, right?
Right.
That they kind of were like, okay, they played these two teams, these three whatever teams the last couple weeks, and then they backtracked.
Yeah.
But with baseball, the refs too. But with baseball, you've got, I don't know how big their rosters are in South Korea, but I know here, this year you've got 26 men, plus coaches, trainers, everybody involved. And the nice thing is, though, that you play series, so it's not like it's a different game every night. So that helps, But at the same time, that's 4 teams in 2 weeks possibly. So
right, but bad. I mean, they're getting the results quicker now too, right? Isn't that part of it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe so. I believe that's what I've got,
so that could help.
What I've heard. But yeah, that could really help. Yeah, and I don't know how much taking temperatures twice before games helps. I don't know if they've got like 2-3 hours before, and then like as everybody's walking into the dugout. I don't know.
Everyone's still feeling okay. Works, yeah, that's a good one.
Sixth inning, the trainer starts going down the line. Everybody feeling okay? Anybody have a cough, tickle in your throat? Feeling a little warm?
Like putting his face up against everybody's forehead, feeling it like how my mom used to do.
My mom always just did the hand. She'd backhand to the forehead. You're fine. Go to school.
Backhand to the oh, man.
But, yeah. I don't know. I think it's interesting. But as far as American baseball goes, they're still trying to figure out a plan. One of the plans that was proposed had the World Series being played around or on Christmas. Personally, I didn't think it would work. That seems too late, and they'd be like, well, we have neutral sites. We could do neutral site. We could play in Miami, in LA. And I heard actually today somebody was talking about how they wanted to just have it at Dodger Stadium. That's where they wanted to do it. And I was like, okay, yeah, that would work weather-wise. But at the same time, the very thought that I had as soon as I heard Christmas was, when do you start spring training for next year? Right? And that is actually the same concern Anthony Rizzo said. He says that it could mess up 2 seasons by playing the postseason into December.
Yeah, exactly.
When do you... Yeah, right? What kind of... I mean, do you have the same kind of like concerns as far as logistically with things like that, as far as spring training and then bumping next season back? Do you have the same concern with that, or is there something else that comes to mind for you?
So that's... Yeah, so when I heard this initially, or when I was listening to other things about other ideas of what they're going to do, I feel like the more you mess with this season, the more it's going to mess with the next season. Like, it's the same thing with like schools. Like my friend was like, oh, they should start school in June. I'm like, then the kids are in school from June to June. That doesn't make sense. Like, anyway, so I feel like they should just do a shortened season like they did.
Yeah.
When there was like a strike or whatever. Like, who cares? Like, I'd rather have just play from like June to October. Like, I'm fine with that. I'd rather have a shortened season and then just have everything get back to normal and ready to go next season. That way I can still see Showtime pitch and hit and see Trout, and I'm happy. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, that's exactly how I feel about it. Just get what you can out of the season, if you can get anything out of it, and then just start fresh next year. I mean, if Brig and I have talked about how this year is going to have a big fat asterisk next to it. Whoever wins, they're going to be like, oh, well, it was the shortened season because of COVID-19.
Right.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. You're like, whatever. But then next year, if we can have as much of a regular season as possible, start spring training middle of February, start spring training games the end of February, and then start the regular season the end of March. The closer we can get to normal without having to push everything back, I think the better for Major League Baseball, the better for society, better for everybody, better for the economy. That's just my personal thought. I'm not an economist by any stretch of the imagination, but that's how I feel that this whole thing could come together and work better. Is just, you know what? It's a scratch season. Get what we can, and we'll start fresh next year.
Yeah. Like if there was a strike, this is what would happen. You know what I mean? They wouldn't change everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly right. That's exactly right. And that's kind of how I think they should treat it. Just treat it like a strike shortened season.
I just wanted to also see as many Astros hitters get hit as quickly as possible. I don't know if I want to wait until next year, and I don't know. I feel like they should definitely get beamed as much as they can this year, and then the pitchers can get ready during spring training, and then they can beam them some more next year rather than getting injured and not being able to hit them. I don't know. I feel like it needs to happen.
Yeah, I would like to see that too. I'd like to see as many Astro players get as hit as possible. But honestly, I think everybody's just going to be so happy to be playing that they're going to be like, nah, at this point, I don't really care, unfortunately. It'd ruin all my fun. I was going to have that hit by pitch counter down at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
They have to be.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and play that COVID-19 PSA. Remember, baseball family, stay inside, stay safe, stay healthy. We'll be back in a minute.
COVID-19, better known as coronavirus, has spread throughout the world. Symptoms of this respiratory disease may include fever, cough, and shortness of breath. These symptoms may show up 2 to 14 days after exposure. If you are experiencing these symptoms and have come into contact or are in an area with an ongoing outbreak, please call a hotline and/or consult with a physician. Clean and disinfect high-touch surfaces. For more information, please visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. Thank you.
Welcome back, baseball family. So, let's get into the game of the week. There's just one game this week, and this is actually part of the reason I decided to ask Quinn if he wanted to do this episode with me, because this is going to be the game I watched this week anyway. It's 2002 World Series Game 6 between the San Francisco Giants and, at the time, Anaheim Angels. Do you still consider them the Anaheim Angels, Quinn, as an Angels fan?
Yep,
very much
so. I mean, I don't care that they're the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. It doesn't bother me, but I just call them the Anaheim Angels. I don't care that they get called anything else.
Well, it makes sense because they're not even close to LA. I mean, they're in the LA metro area. I understand that, but at the same time, that's not LA.
Right.
So
it doesn't feel like LA. It doesn't.
Yeah. That's the
LA,
thing too.
Whatever.
Anybody who's been down there knows it does not feel like LA. Totally different. I agree with that.
No,
absolutely.
There's the biggest difference to me. Well, not the biggest difference, but one of the main ones. I thought every ballpark was like this because I only went to Angels games for most of my life, and there's parking everywhere. Like you roll up to Angel Stadium, it's not hard to get there. There's no traffic. You just pull in, and there's just massive parking lots everywhere. And they're like, yeah, park here, park there, park wherever you want. And you can park across the street. I mean, there's just so much. And then I went to a Rockies game, and there's just no parking. You have to just park randomly somewhere downtown. And the Padres is like that too. I guess the Dodgers have parking, but it was just so weird to me. I was like, what? Why is this? Where's the big parking lot?
Yeah, that actually shocked me when we got to Angel Stadium, because I've been to one game at Angel Stadium, and I couldn't believe that big parking lot, because I'm used to going to now T-Mobile, where they have a parking structure across the street, but it's incredibly limited. So if you're gonna park, you've got to find somewhere down the road to park, and you've got to pay $20 if you're 2-3 blocks away. But
yeah, when I went to the Rockies one, it was like I had no idea. Like I wasn't familiar with the city, so we just parked like behind some restaurant and paid $20, and it was like super shady. And then we walked, a mile, and it was I don't know, I didn't love it. But then I was listening to Bill Simmons talk about like stadiums, and he's from Boston, so he loves Fenway, and like I guess just the surrounding area around Fenway, and I guess Wrigley's like that too. And he's like, the worst stadium for me is Angel Stadium. There's nothing around the ballpark. It's just a parking lot. And I was like, oh, that's the thing I like about it. That's funny. So
that's funny. Yeah, and I actually agree with that. I'm not a huge fan of all the extra stuff. Like, it's nice in Seattle that you can kind of walk down the street and like hit all the vendors. Like there's probably 7 or 8 different shops down the road that you can go to buy a T-shirt. And then there's, you can buy nuts and popcorn and all kinds of stuff. But at the same time, like, it's not great because, like we said, you're paying a whole bunch for parking, and it's a pain to get out of because you could be double, triple parked.
Oh, man.
So you could be waiting. If you get out of the stadium quick, then you might be waiting for 2-3 cars or 2-3 people to get to their car before you can even leave. So you're still sitting in your car waiting.
That sounds terrible. I would just not drive. I couldn't handle that.
Yeah, I mean, we lived in Salt Lake for a while, and that's why we took the train to Jazz games if we went. Or Bees games, because I didn't want to deal with parking. So
right.
Yeah, we take the train to those games.
Yeah, that'd be cool. With Angel Stadium, there's no shops or anything around. But after the game, there's usually a guy waiting in the parking lot selling shirts out of the trunk of his car.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course there is. Yeah, of course there's that guy. There has to be. But Quinn, like I said, I had you come on because you're an Angels fan, and you would have been what, 14?
Oh, gosh.
When this game was played?
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
Barely 14.
Yep.
Do you have any recollection at all of this game before you watched it this week?
Yeah, I did. So back when I was 14, I was a much bigger Angels fan than I am now. I mean, I still love the Angels, but I used to listen to every single game because we didn't have it on TV, or my brothers wouldn't let me watch it. So I just listened to it, and I listened to. I caught almost every game. That's how I learned how to play baseball. I didn't even play baseball when I was a kid until I was about 14, I think. So
oh, wow.
It's anyway. So, or maybe I was 13, but anyway, so when we were able to watch the World Series, it was huge for me, and it was so stressful for me, and this game brought back a lot of those feelings. I'm so glad I know the outcome this time, because I couldn't watch. Like, I remember being in the living room with my whole family. Now all of a sudden my brothers didn't mind watching the games.
Yeah, of course.
And but I couldn't watch, so I would leave and I'd sit in like the entryway right next to our living room, and I'd just listen, and I would like come in and out, and I was just pacing, and it was a stressful time for me, and I was watching it back, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine myself going through this, and now I know what happened, so it's fine. But oh man, I definitely remember it.
Yeah, that's not a feeling I'm familiar with. I mean, like, I talked a couple weeks ago about the 95 ALDS, but I've never been nervous about a World Series game. Like, I always pick a team to cheer for,
right.
But there's never any like consequence. I mean, granted, there's never actually a consequence for me, but
right.
There's no emotion in it for me. It's just like, hey, good for them. The
right.
Nats won this last year, and I was like, good for the Nats. And a couple years ago, when the Astros won, I was like, okay, that's fine. They got theirs. Now somebody else go win one.
Yeah. Now go back into the cave where you came from, Astro. Okay,
yeah.
And then.
Yeah, exactly. You got yours. Okay, now step aside. Let somebody else win next year, which has pretty much been the way that it's been since 2001, which has been nice and actually really exciting to watch baseball. But at the same time, it's kind of like, yeah. Well, I mean, I mean, we're pretty close to the same age, so it's like those late '90s Yankees. That was just awful.
Right.
The dynasty that was terrible for anybody who wasn't a Yankees fan, but no. Anyways, this game was a lot of fun. I thought it was a good watch. It was pretty much all Giants.
Yeah.
To begin with, you had this is actually something really funny that I noticed watching this game, is that this is the second week in a row that I watched Kenny Lofton play for a team that I forgotten he'd played for. Because the game I watched last week was the 0-3 NLCS game 6 between the Marlins and the Cubs, and I had totally forgotten that Kenny Lofton played for the Cubs.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I only thought he ever played for the Giants because I remember him.
Well, I always forget he played for the Giants because he played for the Indians for so long.
Oh, that's right. I do remember that too.
He was center fielder for the Indians in the '90s, and then I'm watching this game. I'm like, God, that's Kenny Lofton, isn't it? Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
forgot he played for the Giants.
It's hard for me to forget. He had a good series, man.
I'm sure
he wasn't fun.
Yeah, he's not fun for anybody, man.
No.
He's not fun for anybody at all.
No.
The fact that this was actually something that I noticed with Kenny Lofton. This was something that I feel like I catch with him with guys periodically. And one thing with him was he actually stole third. He had a couple stolen bases in the game, but at one point he stole third on a slider.
Yeah.
Now, I was watching that. I was like, I bet he picked the sign. He knew something off speed was coming, saw where the catcher was set up on a slider, and thought, what, there's a chance that ball could get away, so he just took off.
Right. The commentator said something about that too, where they said that he thinks he picked the right pitch, or he knew that it was going to be a breaking ball, so that's the pitch he decided to steal on.
Yeah. And I don't really listen to the game, so I didn't hear that, but good to know I'm on the same page as those guys. But no, I saw that, I was like, oh man, that's such smart base running. It's the reason that guy stole so many bases. It was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it was important.
Like you said,
it helped them a ton, put him on third. I think
it did.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, no, I totally agree that his base running ability, is really what made that a close game at all.
Yeah.
The Giants got out to a 5-0 lead after the top of the 7th inning, and then up to that point there wasn't a whole lot the Angels had been doing, and then what was the? Oh no, that hadn't happened yet, not yet. In the 7th inning was when you had, who was it, hit a home run? That was
on the Angels.
Yeah, it was Troy Gloss, right? No, not Gloss. Scott Spiezio, that's right. Those guys look so much alike that I always confuse them.
I love Spiezio, dude. That whole team. Obviously, I love that whole team, but Spiezio was a weird guy. It's like a part-time heavy metal rock star. He had a band. I forget what it was called, like Frog something.
That's right.
Like Frog Boat something. I don't know what it was, but it was. He was like smashing guitars and stuff, like in these little promos, and he had purple hair, and yeah, he was.
Right. Didn't he have a red soul patch at some point?
Yeah, he did. He was and it's funny, like him. He was just kind of like a role guy, like he was bottom of the lineup, and he wasn't one of their big stars. Like he wasn't making a lot of money, I'm sure, but he came up with the biggest hit in the game that started everything. And then the commentators they mentioned a stat. He was 11 for 17 with runners in scoring position in the World Series. I was like, holy cow! Or maybe I don't remember.
That's
if it was
something
the
else.
World
man.
Series or postseason, but still, like Benji Molina was like that too. If there was somebody on second base, he was batting like 600, like in his career. Like he was freaking nuts. But
yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, it's weird how these role player guys play such a big role or a big part in these games, these big games.
Yeah, and I think that something goes into that because you're so focused on getting the guys out who are going to hurt you. Like I'm sure there was so much of Socha's game plan went into, we can't let Bonds hurt us. If they're going to beat us, Benito Santiago is going to beat us by laying down a bunt, which he happened to.
Yeah.
But we can't let Bonds beat us. And so I feel like so much that goes into it that's why you get these peripheral players who are, the MVPs of the World Series and everything.
Or like Sean Dunston. I don't even remember him, but I guess he played forever. He was like 39 he was an older guy, and he was the one that hit that first home run to left field, and he was the ninth batter, batting ninth, and just came up with this big hit. That was his only hit, but it was at the time it was a big deal. So
yeah, it really was.
They even talked about, they interviewed Apier, the pitcher, and he basically said, like, their game plan is Lofton and Kent get on or whatever. Like, he was talking about Kent, but I mean, in this game it was Lofton and Kent, and then Bonds has to hit him on or hit him in, or they have to walk him and load the bases or put two men on base instead of just one. If there's somebody on the bases already, it makes things a lot harder from an opposing standpoint. But he was basically talking about, like, it was those three guys were all they were worried about, and that's kind of what happened. Like, when they were getting things going, it was Lofton, Kent, and Bonds. Besides that home run, But
yeah, Jeff Kent, who by the way looks like a state trooper.
He does. Looks like he should be on Reno 911 or something. In those short shorts and the boots.
He'd be so perfect for that. Absolutely. Yeah, but so like we said, Spiezio hit that 3-run home run in the bottom of the 7th. So then nothing. Angels aren't able to do anything after that, and then you've got coming into the 8th inning, really kind of going to be the last chance there because. You're coming up to the bottom of the order again in the 8th inning, and that 8th inning was just insane. Like, I was watching that and it's just like, gosh, Barry Bonds is doing his best Manny Ramirez impression.
Oh my gosh, that was
great. It really helped a lot. I mean, he kind of kicked around and fumbled that ball in the line, and then he couldn't pick it up out on the warning track. Like, golly, man.
Oh, it was great. Figgins could have scored on that. If he had gone for it, he would have scored. But
for sure. Yeah, but so it ended up being, Darren Erstad led off the inning with a home run, which I think that they're expecting their Erstad, Tim Salmon, or Garrett Anderson, one of those guys, to hit a home run that inning because that's just kind of what you expect from those guys, right? I don't remember
Erstad
how anybody had been doing.
Struggling. He was not doing good in the postseason, but as in this regular season, he was great. Like, he was a good player, but postseason, I think he wasn't doing great, so it was a surprise, I think, when it happened.
Yeah. But then you got Sean Figgins comes in and runs for Tim Salmon, and this to me was like my baseball card World Series because I had 1 million cards of Tim Salmon, 1 million cards of Garrett Anderson, 1 million cards of JT Snow. But all three guys, with all those millions of cards I had, all three of those guys played for the Angels at the time.
Oh yeah.
And so that's like looking back, like, oh yeah, I remember those names fondly. I remember those guys.
Yeah.
but yeah, and then you've got Tim Salmon gets onto the single. Like I said, Figgins comes in to pinch run, and then Garrett Anderson gets onto the single to the left, and that was the one where Bonds really kicked it around, and you said Figgins could have scored probably because he got to third, and then
Gloss hits a double to the wall, I think was the next one, right?
Yep. Gloss hit a double to the wall. That was the one that Bonds was kicking around a little bit, and before that, Anderson had gotten to second as Bonds was fumbling around out there with the ball at the line, and I think if he hadn't gotten that error there, then Anderson would have been stuck at first, and he may not have scored. Who knows with a double? But I mean, with him kicking that ball around on the warning track, Anderson probably still would have scored on a single. But
he's pretty fast, but he does love to jog and walk. Yeah, that was good old Anderson walking out ground balls and jogging to second base.
Not about to break up a double play.
No, the commentators even said something about it. They're like, "Oh, he's gonna play this one on a bounce." It's like, he's not diving for anything. So I'm glad that he got second base.
Making business decisions out there.
Yeah, exactly.
But so you got Figgins and Anderson who score, and that gives the Angels the lead, and obviously they were down 3-2 at that point, and the Giants go down 1-2-3 in the top of the ninth. You go on to Game 7, and Quinn, your Angels won the World Series.
I know. So
I still hear about that.
Oh, you should. It's our only one. We got to hang on to it. Now Mel probably brings it up as often as she can, so it's good.
She'll bring it up periodically. Yep. In fact, one thing that I think is funny about that World Series is that the Rally Monkey didn't just hang out. I mean, do they still do the Rally Monkey in Anaheim?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I thought so because it kind of stuck with. I mean, I don't know about how much of Major League Baseball, but it's stuck in the Cactus League. In fact, while Wilson and I were down in Arizona, I picked him up a little Cactus League Rally Monkey.
Oh, nice.
Only because he requested, he saw the monkey and had to have it. So since I'm a sucker and we were on vacation, I said, sure, let's get it. So
it's baseball. You gotta exactly. You're showing any interest? Yes, I'll buy it.
Exactly right.
That year, the Angels had like some crazy number of comeback wins, and that was the first year I think that they did the Rally Monkey, and so that's why it stuck so much. But that team, like when they were playing, they were always in it, and they had that huge comeback win against the Yankees the series before. That season, that was the season when the A's went on their winning streak, when that Moneyball season.
Yeah.
That was the same season. So when the A's won like 26 in a row or whatever it was,
right?
The Angels won 22 out of 26 during that stretch. So the A's didn't even like go out ahead that much, but that's why the Angels were the wild card teams, because they were, they were coming back and they were winning all these games, but they weren't able to catch the A's. But that was a good team. It was fun to watch those games because really even if they were losing, it was still worth watching. So
yeah, for sure. And that's one of the things that is fun, that if your team's winning, it's fun to watch. You don't necessarily have to win the World Series for it to be fun to watch, right? Like, for me, I still hold on to that 116-game season. Like, I told my mom going into the playoffs, I was like, this is the year we're getting our Sports Illustrated subscription so that we can get the Mariners World Series package, Yeah. And they ended up losing in the ALCS to the Yankees. But no, I mean, I still look back on that 2001 season because that was a blast. It was a ton of fun to watch those games. The whole refuse to lose everything, 2 outs, so what? Because they scored so many runs and won so many games with 2 outs. It was insane. It's bananas to watch.
Yeah.
But
wait, that was the year that the Mariners were tearing it up? Was 2002?
2001.
Oh, 2001. I was going to say, I was like, I thought the A's won that division that year. But
yeah, they did.
Yeah, so I was thinking I actually was thinking about the Mariners during this game when Eckstein was up. And I love Eckstein.
You and Mel.
I know. I think everybody that was an Angels fan at the time did, but
probably
he was just so fun to watch, man. And he like choked up on the bat. He wore Under Armour that was like loose on him because he was 5'6" and weighed 100 pounds. And like it's just like he shouldn't be up there, but he during the season he was so important, to the team.
Yeah.
He didn't have a good game that game, but he and so Ichiro is kind of like that too, where these guys, they don't care about the stats or the home runs. They just they just get on base, and they slap the ball and they get singles, and then it just helps the team out so much. And I feel like Eckstein wouldn't even make it to the pros now,
no chance.
Yeah. It's like,
well,
you
and
can't
I
get
wonder,
a home run? No.
Yeah, and I wonder if now you mentioned if Ichiro would have been a completely different batter if he had come in now, because I mean they talk about how all the time that he has the power to hit 40 home runs a year. He just doesn't, because he'd rather hit for average and be on base for everybody to drive.
I don't think anything would change Ichiro.
You're probably right.
Do whatever he wants.
Because then the guys behind him, they're hitting 2-run home runs instead of solo home runs. So there's that.
Yeah, exactly. And I just feel like I don't know. Those guys are so important that can just get on base and get singles. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Anyway, so that stuck out to me when I was watching it. And then I meant to do the research here before, but Brandon Donnelly was one of the relief pitchers that came on.
Yeah.
And that was like his only good season, or maybe the season before or after he had a good season too. But he kind of went away pretty soon after that. but he didn't get a World Series ring.
He didn't get a ring?
No. And I meant to look it up why, because I remember like vaguely, I feel like he was like a scab or something like that at one point. Like he wasn't like part of the union or something.
Oh man.
And so he's like not officially on the roster, like when they list all the players or whatever.
That's
and
crazy.
He didn't get a ring, and like it's like all this stuff that he was so good as a setup.
He got into 46 games that year and he's an all-star in 2003.
Yeah. So
that's crazy.
And I think 2003 was like his last good year, but he he was awesome. So it went K-Rod, Donnelly, Percival. And so like if the Angels got to, that's why they were so good at coming back, was because if they could get the game to the 6th inning, then the other team didn't score anymore, and so they were able to have so many comeback wins.
Yeah,
but anyway,
it makes a difference shortening the game up like that. That's a big deal. Yeah, that's a cool little nugget. Well,
yeah.
before we get going, there's one thing I wanted to share real quick. I want to give a quick update on my Super Nintendo game. I've been playing through Ken Griffey Jr. Baseball from Super Nintendo from 1994 on my Nintendo. And it's not going well, I'll be honest. Not going as well as I thought it would. I'm 12-8. I thought I was going to sweep the Red Sox. They took the last of the 4-game series, and that's pretty much the best I've done against anybody. I've gotten boat raced a few times. That game's really hard, a lot harder than I thought it was. I was thinking the other day, I was like, man, I remember going 162-0 one year. How am I not winning? Then I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Because if I lost, I would reset it before I saved.
That's what I was gonna say.
I definitely cheated. It took more than 162 tries to play that series or play that season. So that's definitely how that went down. But Quinn, what are you doing to stay busy during quarantine? Are you guys using your batting cage in the backyard?
My new house doesn't have room for the batting cage, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
But I know it's rough. But we're hot tubbing. We go hot tubbing, and we play basketball, and we play catch back there. But no batting cage, unfortunately.
Oh, that's a bummer. That's a bummer. But yeah, we got Wilson some new wiffle balls, and we've been out in the back hitting, and he tagged me a couple times with some comebackers. And I deserve it because I hit him with one yesterday. I felt really bad. Hit him square in the chest.
He nailed one. That one that you sent me. I don't know. I thought it was like a tennis ball or something.
Oh, no, it was a wiffle ball, and he hit it pretty hard.
Gosh.
He ended up breaking that ball.
Yeah, dude, he creamed that thing.
Yeah, he can square it up pretty good. He's a good little hitter. I think he's gonna be better than I ever was, to be honest. If he's willing to keep working, I think he'll be really, really good. So I'm excited for him. He loves it. Loves everything about baseball. He can't get enough of it. So it's a good time. And you've got one.
Yeah, that's awesome.
One or two who really like baseball.
Well, they don't like it, but they're good at it, and so it's kind of frustrating. I have to talk to them about getting out there and practicing, and they like playing the games, but they don't like to practice. But
nobody likes practice. Just tell them.
I love practice.
I hated practice.
I would have been in the Sandlot like that. To me, like just hitting ground balls and fielding ground balls and throwing it to first, like that was. I could do that all day, so I loved practice. The games was what scared me. I was so scared up there. I'd like to practice.
And so I can get that because you were a position player and a pitcher, right? Because I guess that's all there is to it, position players and pitchers. But as a catcher,
I played short and third, and then pitched. But
but as a catcher, practice is so boring.
Oh yeah,
because you stand there next to the coach. You get to BS a little bit, with everybody, but at the same time, like all you're doing is waiting for the first baseman to throw you the ball.
Yeah, and then you flip it to the coach, and then
and then go stand in line and wait your turn to catch the ball and flip it to the coach. And every once in a while, they'll flop one out in front of the dirt, and to bunt, go get it. Oh,
right,
I fell asleep. Sorry, coach.
Yeah, the coach whips it, or he like messes up his hit, and he's like, "Oh, that was on you."
Yeah, exactly. He's like, I meant to do that. Go get it. Yeah, okay, whatever.
That's like, but in the games, you guys are getting all the action. You're in every single pitch is coming right at you. So
yeah, you have a lot of control over the game too. So it's actually a whole lot of fun. Games are a blast.
Yeah.
But no, I dreaded practice, and partly in high school I hated it so much because it was like go stand next to the coach, and then take some batting practice. And we get in trouble if we hit foul balls, and then we'd have to run.
What?
We get in trouble if we hit foul balls, during batting practice.
Foul balls.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, we're too far into the season. It's like second week of practice. We're too far into the season for you guys to be hitting foul balls. Like,
okay.
but yeah, so then it was, and then we'd go run until he was tired of watching us run, because that's how things worked. But no, I way preferred games over practice growing up for that reason.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But let's go ahead and wrap things up. But before we do, don't forget to stop by the shop, 9plusus.com. That's NINEPLUS.com. You can get some great stuff. Today I'm wearing my pirate hat because I love it. Can't get enough of it. I'm also wearing my Autism Awareness Together shirt. It's a baseball together shirt. You can kind of see it on camera there. It also has the autism puzzle piece on it. Got it there. All right, now you can see it. Anyway, you can get both of those on the shop. We got lots of the great stuff. We've got COVID-19 masks for you now. Go check out a bunch of designs there. They're awesome. They look really cool. We spent a lot of time getting those, so they look nice for you, and they're good stuff. Don't forget to stop by baseballtogether.com. You can watch the podcast. You can listen to the podcast. And Quinn, thanks for joining me. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks for having me. You hooked me with the 2002 World Series. I'm like, I'm in.
I thought I might get you with that one. Yeah, I sensed a little bit of, I don't know, we're going to talk about the World Series. Yeah, okay, I'll do it.
Yeah, okay.
But again, thanks for joining me, Quinn. For those of you watching on YouTube, you got to watch the very first green screen episode of the Baseball Together podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, rate, review, tell your friends about us and baseball family. Stay safe. We will catch you next week.